Hi, this is the verbal interview of mine, which I'm sending to you. The title is Interview with the Hungarian Chief War Officer Sándor Géci. Your first question is, what is your name, your rank, and your specialization, actual branch? Well, my basic military qualification from the NCO Academy is a cryptographic custodian signal NCO. I have graduated in 1990 as a sergeant, and my first duty post was the Ministry of Defense Cryptographic and Custodian Office. Later on, I have joined in 1993 the first peacekeeping training center. In that branch, I have served as a military police squad leader in the combat support service platoon. Before that, I have spent 2 years in a military police battalion, which was called the 20th Aulich Lajos Military Police Battalion. This was operating in Budapest. It was basically the Army Chief of Staff's specialized and the only battalion specialized in military policing. Therefore, we have conducted MP duties, patrols countrywide, and we were responsible over other MP stations and MP branches in the country. Back then, in the early 90s, there was a kind of system in Hungary which existed in a form of military districts, and there were some military district military police and also local garrison military police. So there were three stages altogether: the army staff, army headquarters MPs, which were us, then the district MPs, and then the actual garrison military police. As a military police in the classic form is actually something different in Hungary because the military police has no jurisdiction over any civilians in civilian areas. So in the past, as well as nowadays, the military police patrols are allowed to patrol in certain areas, and they only allowed to stop and inspect military vehicles and military personnel in uniform. Although there is no mandatory to wear uniform outside of the garrisons unless you are on any kind of official trip or duty. So this is the main task. Also, with our joining NATO in 1999, we conducting exercise supports and securing training ranges, also escorting military delegations and military cargo crossing the country or coming into the country for various specific reasons. This was also part of my job to support military delegations, top-level MOD and other level delegations all over the country during their official trips and recreational ferries and trips as well. Question number 2 and 3. What does your real job involves? What is your professional and academic qualification? And can you also tell us what kind of training did you receive? Well, I'm a high school graduate. What you have to know that at the end of the 80s, in 89, after I have graduated the 4-year military cadet school and got my graduation from a high school, I have joined the NCO Academy, which lasted 1 year. Then I got out as a graduated junior NCO as a sergeant. So this was my beginning of my career. Actually, in the Hungarian military, you can skip from profession to profession, military occupational specialization. In the 80s, 90s, you could get at the unit to which you joined. So therefore, despite my signal qualification, when I have joined the 20th Aulich Lajos Military Police Battalion, I got a 3-month probation time. I got my basic training in military policing. That included special tasks and duties to know how to patrol, how to detain, apprehend individuals, how to escort them to detaining facilities, how to act and react properly on the streets against violent actions, also how to do the military policing in combat environment. After I have served a few years in the Aulich Lajos Military Police Battalion. As I told you, in '93 I have joined the Peacekeeping Training Center as an MP squad leader. And in 1995 I got selected for the first ever armed modern day military peacekeeping mission to Egypt, to Sinai, which is the mission of MFO, Multinational Forces and Observers. This is a mission you can check on the internet. In 1995, an MFO delegation arrived to Hungary and offered to the Hungarian government to replace the Dutch military police contingent in Egypt in 2 major camps alongside the Egyptian-Israeli border. I got out in '95 to the south camp in Sharm el-Sheikh, which is located and still operating at the coast of the Red Sea, at the southern tip of the Sinai Peninsula. There we had to join the MFO contingent and conducting military policing in an interventional environment. There were several nations such as the French Aviation Unit, the Colombian and American observer battalions. They were armed military observers operating outposts all over the Sinai Peninsula alongside the Egyptian-Israeli border. We had to conduct average basic military policing. Also, we did a border control. Whenever the contingent members are crossed the border between Egypt and Israel, we had to check them. They had to report at our station. We registered them and gave them advices how to behave during their off time. Also, we were responsible for road traffic control, speed control, disciplinary actions against undisciplined and conduct unbecoming soldiers. Also, we assisted several United Nations missions. For example, UN soldiers were coming from Lebanon and from other different missions in the Middle East, and whenever they have entered Egypt, they had to report us, and basically we were responsible for their safety, and we were responsible to assist in case of any action harming their personalities. For example, we had to assist in several traffic accidents. After coming back from Sinai, Egypt, I have rejoined the Army Headquarters Military Police Battalion, and my next tour was in '97 to Anfitsip, to the island of Cyprus, which is the divided island between the Turkish and Greek Cypriots. Ever since the conflict, the international Anfitsip mission included a military police unit as well, and a detachment, which were usually between 12 and 25 personnel. In '97, I was called when I joined the 88th Rapid Reaction Battalion in Szolnok, and I left the capital behind. I have become a light infantry air mobile squad leader at the 2nd company of that battalion. But the battalion commander has selected me to an international military police training, which lasted 2 months in Austria. They were very experienced ever since in UN peacekeeping and also military policing different UN missions. So after that 2 months long training, I was selected to join the Hdfmp mission. Three of us, three NCOs from the 88th Rapid Reaction Battalion were chosen to become the first ever UN MPs in Hdfmp. The reason was that the Hungarian government have supported the mission with a company, a 120 strong company. They were manning classic observation posts and platoon and company headquarters alongside the buffer zone. Of course, our task was again patrols and being responsible for conduct and discipline, reacting on and assisting for traffic accidents, traffic incidents, and other actions which required military policing. After my year-long tour in Cyprus, coming back home, the MOD of the Austrian government offered me a trainer's job to become the first ever international military